Hey, IDP lovers, this is Matt Schaff from DraftSharks.com here to look at the defensive players from round two of the NFL draft. Let's start with the linebackers because they're generally the most interesting and most widely valuable assets in IDP that went in round two. Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa, probably the guy as we entered round two that we were all waiting to see where he was going to land among these linebackers, went to the Browns. I don't think there could be a better landing spot. They need linebackers. It's a spot where he should win immediate playing time, has high upside, definitely the upside to play a full-time role from the beginning. He's a speedy, highly productive player. Lots of comps to safeties for him from draft experts, Derwin James, Harrison Smith, but I think that probably underplays how well he played coming forward. 24 and a half tackles for loss for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah over the past 2 seasons, 7 sacks mixed in with that. Also had 7 passes defensed, 5 forced fumbles, so a big play guy. Should have plenty of tackle upside with the Browns. We'll see exactly where he settles in that linebacker core, but the second-round draft capital plus the talent plus the surroundings says to me that he's going to immediately be a full-time player, whether it's weak side, middle, like JOK landing with Cleveland. Nick Bolton to the Chiefs in round two. I think that he is a better bet than Willie Gay Jr. for production in that Chiefs lineup now. 198 tackles, 16 and a half tackles for loss over the past 2 seasons at Missouri, a 64th percentile speed score. So I think Willie Gay Jr. might be still the higher upside athlete, but Nick Bolton is the guy who was productive in college, stayed on the field, high character guy. I would not be at all surprised if Nick Bolton is playing more snaps right away. I think there's room for both of these guys to be full-time linebackers in this Chief linebacker core. They've been looking for answers for the past few years. They've been shuffling guys around. Even Daniel Sorensen has been playing a lot of linebacker snaps as a safety. So again, there's room if both Bolton and Gay prove to be ready this year. I think Bolton's a safer bet, certainly a good long-term bet for dynasty drafters. Pete Werner went to the Saints before Baron Browning, who a lot of people really liked in this class. Both Werner and Browning, who were college teammates at Ohio State, tested well, both above average speed score. Pete Werner, just okay production. Nothing special, did fine on the tackles for loss front at Ohio State, but nothing that really stands out in his stat line. Plus athleticism, like I said, above average speed score, also tested well in the agility drills. So we'll see where he goes depth chart wise in New Orleans. They still have Demario Davis. They have Zach Bond from last year's class. We'll see whether Zach Bond is more of an edge player or if he's a stand-up linebacker for the Saints. I think that if he's a stand-up linebacker, that cuts down one of the spots. Demario Davis is going to be a starter until he doesn't look like he should be anymore, and that hasn't come yet. So I think that Pete Werner is not a high upside guy for 2021, maybe beyond that. I think this year he could get into the top 3 in that linebacker core. I just think that's probably more of a 30 to 35% playing time thing, unless Zach Bond is not ready or not that much of a stand-up rusher and more of an edge guy. So we'll watch Pete Werner, but not overly excited about him in his landing spot. At safety, we got Javon Holland to Miami. He opted out of 2020, grabbed 9 interceptions over the previous 2 years, though. So a solid landing spot for him. I think that he should be able to challenge for a starting job right away next to the safety who's escaping my mind now, the strong safety that they extended last year. But Javon Holland should be able to get into the Miami lineup right away. Richie Grant to Atlanta, though. I like the landing spot better for him. Keanu Neal, Ricardo Allen, DeMonte Kazee, all gone from last year's team. So they cleared out their safeties. That leaves room for Richie Grant to start right away. 258 tackles, 10 interceptions over his 3 college seasons. So he brings the production to show us that he can do it there. He's probably my top safety right now for the dynasty rookie drafts. Trevon Mayrig to the Raiders, good all-around safety. I think it was a bit surprising that he ended up being the 3rd safety off the board. A lot of people had him as the top safety and a first-round pick. 3rd safety in round 2, goes to the Raiders. Should fight for a starting job right away, but Jonathan Abram looks like the strong safety in that system. So I think that Abram is going to be the more productive fantasy asset. There's room for Merrick to play. We'll see what he does. We'll see exactly how they align those guys, but I think he'll be more of a free safety and less of a fantasy producer this year. On the edge, Aziz Ogilari to the Giants. He's young. He has yet to even turn 21, turns 21 this summer. So that certainly works in his favor. 65th percentile speed score. Again, we've got above average speed score guys in round 2 at linebacker on the edge. So the league knows that it wants fast defenders in those spots. Aziz Ogilari is also a bit small though, 6'2", 249. Giants clearly aren't too worried about that. We'll see if he needs time to develop into a starting player for the Giants, but they have a need. They need some edge rushers, and Ogilari definitely has the upside to fill that need right away. Carlos Basham was the second straight edge player to go to the Bills in round 2. They, of course, took Gregory Rousseau in round 1. I think Basham is set up to be the more productive player early on, as soon as this season. 10 sacks in 2019 for Basham, 29 tackles for loss in 25 games over 2018, 2019. Only played 6 games in 2020. So, we can look at the numbers there, but the full seasons the previous 2 years give us more to go on. So I like Carlos Basham. I like Gregory Rousseau, but I think Carlos Basham is going to give us a quicker return. That certainly helps his dynasty outlook, and I think he'll be more of a redraft factor this season. Dayo Odeyingbo to the Colts, likely not a 2021 factor. He's coming off an Achilles tear. Fine long-term, we'll see about the outlook there, but likely missing his rookie season. I mean, not only does that make him a likely non-factored redraft, it certainly is going to knock him down the board in our rookie drafts because we can wait a year, and then he's probably going to be valued lower heading into next year than he would have been were he ready to play as a rookie. Finally, Christian Barmore, defensive tackle to New England. I mean, it's a weak D-tackle class. We already expected Christian Barmore was going to be the only guy who would really get meaningful focus. He goes to a spot in New England that tends to be good at using its assets on defense. So tops among interior linemen last year in college, pass rushing grade, according to Pro Football Focus, had 8 sacks at Alabama last year. So again, he was the most interesting defensive tackle coming into the draft, both for the NFL and for our IDP purposes. He comes out of the draft, I think, as easily the most interesting guy, really the one that's worth considering for any meaningful draft capital in rookie drafts. So, we'll see exactly where he lands in those post-draft rookie rankings. They'll be coming out in a few days, but that's what I got for now for round 2. Let's see what else happens in round 3 and then tomorrow in the later rounds. Keep up with Shark Bites. We've got instant reactions to offense and defense there. We'll be on Twitter. We'll be working on our rookie rankings. And of course, you can head to draftsharks.com now to check our full rankings, projections, use the draft board, get going. We're ready for 2021. We want you to join us. We want to win your leagues.